Sammy Gyamfi osi forma na NPP for no obia epe baby diniti ahye NPP for a say Sammy Gyamfi ni system ni mo ana omo ye jandam egum omo twa atro propaganda kese ene sabotage kese a omo de egu NDC aban no ene mufi na nsen mu ho kwaje Oppong Nkrumah eba edi nsem bi beto dwa eye Bank of Ghana lost no obeka chere Ghana for nyina say majority ankasa and a press conference NDC majority and Omoka say a Bank of Ghana Omaboka a 15.6 billion 15.6 billion Ghana cedis we and a Kwajo Oppong Nkrumah baya or Babe counter or case no majority Omoboa Omombambe Boka a 15.6 billion bia na Bank of Ghana aboka a 34 billion. It say majority for na NDC for na aba abonti omobeka say a Bank of Ghana aboka 15.6 billion. Eho ena Kwajo Oppong Nkrumah e buy oba counter or case no NDC majority ntro ena omocha na omoboka a 34 billion. Na we ena endra da Sammy Gyamfi atiesi form na otisi form abusuya wa fully document wa kire Kwajo Oppong Nkrumah say masa wono onya auditor general uni credibility bia say se wo ba na obeka sa asem we bi onya auditor general onya source uni source bia na oba no oba be expose Kwajo Oppong Nkrumah the 34 billion lost out Bank of Ghana for ayede LOC na oba no Kwajo Oppong Nkrumah epe baby di niti share fact upon fact upon fact our babe silence Kwajo Oppong Nkrumah so disgracing a live on TV no abusuya Sammy Gyamfi he's the guy mommy yanko na yanko ti and Sammy Gyamfi edituja unsubscribe ya subscribe na hit on the notification bell so na any update be drop no so onsa every to me akam
or the cost of this particular program going forward. It's one thing that we're going to get into. But you listen to the majority there, that the loss that the Bank of Ghana is even projecting, the 15.6 billion we'll be talking about, is actually not the 15.6 billion. They add the cost and the loss on the domestic gold purchase program, that's the 9 billion, making up 44 billion for that matter, which would be the comprehensive loss that the Bank of Ghana has posted. Why are you in a different position to this particular position that the majority takes?
Well, thank you very much. You see, I believe that everyone has a right to their own opinions, but no one has a right to their own set of facts. And so in discussing issues of public interest, it is important for us to respect the facts. It's important for us to respect the truth. It's not about what you think. It's not about conjecture. It's not about contriving, non-existent realities and imposing it on the people.
What is the non-existent reality in this?
You see, what are we discussing? We are discussing the audited financial statements of the Bank of Ghana for the year 2025. What does that mean? When we say audited financial statements, what are we talking about? Is it that Governor Johnson Esiama and his team at Bank of Ghana woke up one day and prepared their financial statements and published it and said, this is our financial position? That is not what it means. We are talking about an external institution out of the institutional framework of the Bank of Ghana. An independent external institution that the Bank of Ghana does not control. In this case, KPMG. Conducting an external audit on the financials of the Bank of Ghana, and at the end of that audit, publishing the outcome, the results of their audit. So what we are discussing is not a document that was prepared by the Bank of Ghana. This is a document prepared by KPMG. And when we talk about KPMG, you're talking about one of the four most biggest accounting and auditing firms in the world. KPMG is part of the, not only the biggest, but the most credible in the world. And so if KPMG tells you on page 15 of the Bank of Ghana's audited financial statements, where they presented the consolidated and separate statements of profit or loss for the year ended 31st December 2025. And if you have it, you can put it on the screen. They tell you the profit and loss position of the Bank of Ghana. And the profit and loss, statement is what you use to examine the health of every company or corporate body. The profit and loss. That tells you the results of the actions of the management of that company or that institution. And KPMG says Bank of Ghana made an operating loss in the year 2025 of 15.6 billion cedis. And then you have Kojo Oppong Nkrumah saying, no, it is not so, it is 34 billion. Is Kojo Oppong Nkrumah an auditor?
Well, he's also entitled to look into it.
No, hold on. Is he a chartered accountant? Is he an auditor? What credibility does he have?
He's a member of the
hold on, let's go.
Economic Development Committee.
And so that means that he has more credibility than KPMG. I mean, that means that he, Kojo Oppong Nkrumah, who I'm told is a lawyer, he has more credibility in accounting than KPMG. So KPMG is telling you that we have audited Bank of Ghana, and this is their loss for the year ended 2025. The matter ends there. Unless you can use facts to impugn the integrity of the work that KPMG has done, you don't have a case. You just have to keep quiet. You understand? Number two, what he is doing is what is called voodoo mathematics. It is a sacrilege in accounting to add profit or loss from other comprehensive income statements to profit or loss in the real P&L statement. It is not done anywhere. It is not done anywhere. You see, when you are assessing the health of every organization, like I've already told you, is the P&L statement of the organization that you use. What you have in the other comprehensive income, I'm not an accountant, but the little accountant I studied in the law school, and when I was doing my EPM program, tells me that the two are different. Because in the P&L statement, you are talking about real, or if you like, actual profit or loss incurred by the organization. Alfred, are you following me? That is what you have in the profit and loss. It is a real or actual profit and loss that organization has incurred. That is what people technically will say realized. It means it has been incurred. When you go to the other comprehensive income, which is what you find on page 16 of the audited financials of the Bank of Ghana, you are talking about profit or loss that are arising from what is called revaluation gains or losses or exchange differences that are unrealized. In other words, listen to me. In other words, it means the bank has not actually incurred those losses or profits.
So adding the OCI to the
it is a sacrilege.
And then also the
and then saying that is the operating loss.
Domestic gold purchase program.
Yes, that is a total comprehensive loss or profit.
Yes.
But you don't say that is operating loss. And you don't use total comprehensive loss or profit to assess the financial health of an organization. You see, in Ghana, Parliament, and it is so sad that those who are leading this disinformation are members of Parliament. Because that Parliament, where Kojo Oppong Nkrumah is a member, Anta is a member, Gideon Boako is a member, passed the Bank of Ghana Act 612. And as Section 7 of that Bank of Ghana Act, they are provided for what is called revaluation accounts. And this is what it reads. It says, profits or losses arising from a revaluation of the bank's assets or liabilities in gold, in special drawing rights, or foreign securities as a result of a change in the par value of the cedi, or of any change in the par value of the currency unit of any other country, shall be excluded from the computation of the annual profits or losses of the bank. So you have parliamentarians who pass this law who are supposed to understand this, that when you're preparing your profit and loss statement, okay, which I believe is what you have there, but here you're showing only the expenses, the revenue side is not showing.
No, we'll flip it up.
The law is telling you, and you can go to page 16 where you have the OCI, the law is telling you that you don't add that to the profit and loss.
The other comprehensive income.
These losses, what we call the revaluation losses and the exchange differences, the losses or profits, you don't add it to your profit or loss. That is what the law is saying. If you do that, you have committed an illegality. So to say that the auditors should have done that is to say that KPMG should have violated the law passed by Parliament. It is not done. Look, what do we mean by revaluation losses? Let's simplify this so that the ordinary man watching us this morning can understand. Let's say, you see the Bank of Ghana, they are the custodians of the foreign reserves of Ghana. Okay? And the reserves are in dollars. So you hear that Ghana has $13.8 billion of reserves. Mm-hmm. There is a component that is in gold, there is a component that is in dollars. Okay? The bank invests these dollars into various securities and instruments with their bankers. Bank of Ghana also has bankers, okay? In America, in Switzerland, that they bank with. So the bank uses its foreign denominated currency that it has to say they purchase a bond. At the time they were making that investment, the cedi to dollar, say, was 14.75. as we had it as of December 2024. Mm-hmm. Okay? Mm-hmm. So if they are preparing their financial statement in December 2024, they won't prepare the statement in dollars. They have to prepare the statement in cedis. So they will convert the value of that investment in dollars into cedis. When they are converting it, they will multiply it by what? 14.75. So
is it as a prevailing rate at the time of the...
No, you just follow my explanation. They will use the Bank of Ghana reference rate to convert that dollar investment, simply put, into cedis for purposes of their financial statements.
I get that.
Good. Now,
the open market rate
hold on. No, I'm not talking about open market rate. I'm talking about the Bank of Ghana reference rate, what we call interbank rate. That is what the Bank of Ghana will use to convert their foreign currency denominated assets into cedis. And a typical example is an investment they have done with their foreign reserves, with their dollars. Are you following? Now, let's say 1 year after December 2025, the Bank of Ghana performed so well in delivering their core mandate of price stability, currency stability. And the cedi appreciates from 14.75% to 10.45%. It means that that same investment that they would have converted at 14.75%, they will convert into cedis in their books at 10.5%. So if they had an investment of $1 billion in 2024 December, when the cedi was 14.75 to the dollar, in cedis in their books, that investment will be worth 14.75 billion cedis because you're multiplying it by the BOG reference rate of 14.75. But in December 2025, that same investment, not because of mismanagement, but because of prudent management of the cedi, which has ensured that the cedi has appreciated, which is a good thing, something that has brought relief to Ghanaians' households and businesses. By no fault of theirs, just by doing this good thing, they are going to suffer a loss. Because that investment that was worth 14.75 billion cedis will now be worth 10.45 billion cedis. So they have made a loss of what? 4.3 billion. A loss. So that is a revaluation loss.
The forex differentials as a result.
An exchange rate differential has led to a revaluation loss on that investment. Okay? Now, if that investment comes to an end, and Bank of Ghana is paid the monies they are entitled to at whatever interest rate they did the investment into their bank account, that is what you call realization. It's been realized. They have concluded, they've completed the transaction. So if that loss of 4.3 billion cedis as a result of the appreciation of the Ghana cedi, which is a good thing for the Ghanaian economy, for Ghanaian households, for Ghanaian citizens, for everybody in Ghana, that we are happy about. What we are happy about is going to cost the Bank of Ghana a loss. And that loss is realized. And because it is realized, it will be part of their profit and loss statement. So when you look at their profit and loss statement, put it back on the screen, you will see that there is a revaluation loss of 5.4 billion. That is revaluation losses that have been realized. It has crystallized. Okay? What you have in the other comprehensive income, which section 7 of the Bank of Ghana Act says, don't add it to your profit and loss, is the revaluation losses or exchange rate differences that have not been realized. In other words, when the tenure of the investment was 1 year, by December when they were preparing their financial statement, the duration had not lapsed. So Bank of Ghana has not been paid any money. Or say the Bank of Ghana did a rollover. So they have not been paid the proceeds of that investment. So it is a loss. They will record it in their books. If you look at the book values of the investment from 2024 to 2025, they have recorded a loss. But that is what you call a book loss, an unrealized loss, because they have not actually incurred the loss to the extent that the investment has not come to an end. So the law says, for that loss, don't add it to your profit and loss. Add it to your other comprehensive income. You understand? So that other comprehensive income, you cannot add it to the operating loss. That is what the law is telling you. And that is what KPMG has done. So what our brothers in the NPP are doing is very, very disingenuous. And they must stop, because they are not doing their credibility any good. You may succeed in hoodwinking a few people who do not understand these principles of accounting and what the law says. But people who are well initiated and understand these issues will appreciate the hollowness of the argument you're making.
I want to go back to that profit and loss statement, because cash is fact.
Yes.
Cash is fact. It's one that you cannot look at it in any way, shape, or form. We'll put the profit and loss statement back on the screen.
So I unfortunately, you are not showing the other comprehensive income. Okay, but with time, maybe your producers are working on that. It will come, and we can explain better to Ghanaians. But you see, Alfred, so let's settle the point that the operating loss the Bank of Ghana incurred for the year ended December 2025 is 15.6 billion, not 34 billion. They are arriving at 34 billion because they are adding the loss from the other comprehensive income of 19.3 billion to the 15.6, and that is why they are getting 34, and that is not done. That's number one. Number two, they are saying that there is, when we sold the gold, when Bank of Ghana decided to sell a portion of its gold reserves, they made a gain, profit, of 9.5 billion cedis. And so for them, they have to take that gain out of the operating profit and loss statement of the bank. They have to take it out of revenue. And they are saying that if they take it out of revenue, then the bank would have been policy insolvent, meaning that its operating income would not have been able to cover its core mandate of open market operations, sterilization.
I was going to get to that, because you see, as we speak now, based on the financial statement as published, is the Bank of Ghana a going concern? Is it solvent, policy solvent?
You're missing
to discuss, look at being able to discharge on its mandate. Yeah, that's the point.
So if that is what, let me answer that. You're asking about policy, and what is policy solvency or insolvency? What it simply means. Sometimes we make, simple things very complex. The income that the Bank of Ghana generates from its operations should be enough to cover the discharge of their main mandate, which is open market operations. Open market operations is where the Bank of Ghana, lends to the market. They issue bills to the market, okay, for people to actually buy those things. And if you do that, it means that the Bank of Ghana is borrowing from you. So the Bank of Ghana borrows from commercial banks. And when the Bank of Ghana borrows from commercial banks, what is the Bank of Ghana doing? Their core mandate, which is to manage money supply, Okay, so they want to ensure that money supply in the economy is at optimal levels, so that you don't have more money chasing fewer goods to create what in economics is called demand pool inflation. And so when they borrow money, they have to pay interest. And the interest they pay is what we call sterilization cost or OMU cost. That is one of the major functions of the central bank. Okay? And so whatever income the Bank of Ghana is generating should be enough to cover the interest it will pay on the monies it borrows from commercial banks. That's what it means in simple terms. And you look at page 15 of the audited financial statements prepared by KPMG, not Bank of Ghana, KPMG. One of the top 4 biggest and most credible accounting and auditing firms. I need to repeat that. And they are saying that their income is 22 billion. But the OMO cost, the sterilization cost for 2025 was what? 16 billion. So the bank is policy solvent by over 5.5 billion cedis. In 2024, their policy solvency was 700 million. 2024, before we came into power, policy solvency of 700 million, now 5.5.
So this is the position.
Now, hold on, let's go step by step. Now they say that, the reason why you are policy solvent is because you sold our gold reserves. And later on, I will explain the issues surrounding the sale of those gold reserves. And they say you sold 22 tons of our gold reserves. And when you did that, you made a profit of 9.5 and you added it to your P&L. You shouldn't have added it to it. I said, well, what's be that? I am reporting my profit and loss. It is simply a record of my income, my operating income for that year, and my revenue. I have sold gold, which I acquired as part of my operations. Who doesn't know that per section 50D of the Bank of Ghana Act, the Bank of Ghana, as part of its operations, can buy gold and sell gold. The Bank of Ghana is one of the few organizations, we are 2, Gold Board and Bank of Ghana. Only we can buy gold. Are you getting my point? So the Bank of Ghana, as part of reserve management, can buy gold. They can sell the gold. It's part of their operations. When they buy gold and they add it to their reserves, they are supposed to manage the reserves. When they manage the reserves and they get income, it's called reserve management income. It is part of the operating income. You can't say they shouldn't add it. Let's subject what our friends are saying to just simple layman common sense. Alfred, are you following? I need your attention for 1 minute. In this country, from last year till this year, you've heard the Bank of Ghana come under attack a lot. Why? Because they say that the Bank of Ghana, in buying and selling gold, has made losses. Haven't you heard that?
That's
good.
Been a consistent position that has been taken.
They said when we buy small-scale gold and we export, the Bank of Ghana makes losses. And so the losses should be in the financial statements of the bank, their profit and loss. And if you check the 2025 profit and loss statement of the Bank of Ghana, don't you see a loss on gold deals, 9 billion? Don't you see that?
It's a lot over 9 billion, yes.
Loss on gold deals, don't you see that? 9 billion, 52 million, 774,000.
Exactly.
Loss on gold deals. So when the Bank of Ghana buys small-scale gold and exports it, and they make losses, you criticize them, you expect them to put it in their profit and loss, and they record the loss actually on their profit and loss. But when they go and sell a portion of their gold reserves, which is large-scale gold, and they make profits, that one you say, don't put it on your profit and loss statement. Does this make sense to you? It's like they don't understand what they're saying. Operating income is operating income. Reserve management is not a one-off activity. That's number one. Buying gold by the Central Bank of Ghana is not a one-off activity. The Central Bank has been buying gold from 2021 till date under the Domestic Gold Purchase Program. It is now part of its core operations. So when in managing those gold reserves, if they realize losses, it is part of their P&L. If they make gains, it is part of their P&L. You don't go and sit in Parliament after a reputable third-party organization, KPMG, has prepared audited financial statement, and you come and say, no, you shouldn't have added gains from gold, take it out. But you are rather adding the losses on gold. Does that make sense? You see, let me go back a bit, Alfred.
No, because you want...
Abusuan Sammy Gyamfi and I attending kase odisa and seminar to dwa and diamaya enye asam ketwa kra. Yebramase some oje pene kokutisa and some way edemai aha gossip politics TV so. Bedamase.